Years ago, while scrolling through a software developer job posting, I read the following. Good knowledge of JSON required. To me, this was an obvious case of the recruiter misunderstanding the line manager and mistaking JSON for JSON. In this video, you will learn what JSON is and why it is so important in today's technology landscape. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and it's a standard file format. JSON was discovered by the American computer programmer Douglas Crockford in the early 2000s. As he said himself, he didn't create JSON because it already existed in nature. Instead, he discovered it. We'll see later in this video what that means. It's no coincidence that the J in JSON stands for JavaScript. That's because the JSON syntax, in other words its grammar, is syntactically identical to the code for creating JavaScript objects. The main difference between a JSON object and a regular JavaScript object are the quotation marks. Most inventions are driven by the goal to solve some kind of problem. The same is true for JSON. But what problem was Douglas Crockford trying to solve? Well, in the pre-JSON era, you had to use browser plugins such as Flash or Java applets to send data in real time from a server to a web browser. Crockford and his co-founder Chip Morningstar were looking for a way to send information from a server to a client or web browser that used standard browser capabilities. So they tinkered a bit and found that this message worked. The server sent a message like this one to the web browser, and it was successfully able to display it. The browser was already capable of transmitting what we now know as JSON. That's why Crockford is keen to highlight that he discovered it instead of saying he created it. Crockford was the first to specify JSON, and he created the JSON.org website, and hence he is referred to as the creator of JSON. So now we know what JSON was initially intended for. But what is it used for nowadays? JSON is commonly used for transmitting data, like sending data from a server to a client or getting data from an API. It's often used to store configuration data for applications, such as database connection settings and API keys. JSON is increasingly being used to store data in databases, especially NoSQL databases. It's often used to store temporary user-generated data, such as a submitted form on a website. Like any language, JSON has a syntax or grammar you have to adhere to in order for it to be valid. JSON data is represented as a collection of key-value pairs which have to be separated by a colon. The data is enclosed in curly braces. Keys are strings, and values can be strings, numbers, objects, arrays, or null. As you can see in this example, when there are multiple key-value pairs, they have to be separated by a comma. You can also have a collection of an ordered list of key-value pairs. In that case, you have to enclose this list, which is an array, with square brackets. This example defines a student object, and within that, you see a list of students. In the director's cut of this video, I talk about why JSON is so popular with developers. Do you want access to the director's cut? Then head over to separista.io/separista, where you will find out how you can get access to this exclusive content. Can I ask you for a favor? If you've liked this video, then please hit the like button. I highly recommend you subscribe to this YouTube channel to learn more about technology.